Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. It's great to be here to talk about cricket, and make sure before we get into it that you like this video, that you subscribe if you haven't already, and that you share this with all your friends because this IPL is awesome and we like talking about it. So just listen because
And CSK are top of the table, which means that because I've celebrated, we're now not going to win another game.
that's it. Yeah, so the first game we're going to talk about is Friday's game. We've got the whole weekend to talk about, so lots to get into. But Sunrisers played CSK on Friday.
Sunrisers been a bit of a disappointment this season so far, but one point I want to kind of highlight from Sunrisers that I thought was weird and kind of needs changing is I know that Harry Brook has opened and he's got a century. Whoop-de-doo, that's great, but he isn't an opener in T20s. He is a middle order player by his nature, and Mayank Agarwal is not a middle order player. He is a top three batter by his nature once more. If you're going to play Agarwal, play him in the top three. Otherwise, don't play Agarwal. That's my little piece for Sunrisers. They're just they're a bit all over the place, aren't they, as a team?
I'd agree. Like their top order, I would just swap it round. I'd open Agarwal and Abhishek Sharma. Fine then going with Rajapathy and Aidan Markram. Then Harry Brook to just come out and smash it around in T20, as is his position. And then Harman Klaasen at 6, because I've seen him play very well at 6. I think he is a number 6 in T20. He did it for Joburg Super Kings. So yeah, I think he's good enough. Or was he Joburg Super Kings? Regardless, irrelevant. He did it in the CSA, but he's a good enough player to do that. So yeah, really impressed. I think the story for that, though, I think it was more tight bowling from Chennai than bad batting from Sunrisers, because Sunrisers, who've always been, I would say, a bowler strong team. I mean, Chennai knocked it off and looked fairly comfortable doing it. And I think it was just very tidy bowling from CSK. I think Theekshana and Patharana are really taking the extra step to fall into that DJ Bravo role, because he's been missing now. They missed him this season early on. I think those two young Sri Lankans are doing really good death bowling, and I think they're filling in that spot. Too bad they can't do DJ Bravo's fielding. Move on from that. But yeah, then in terms of chasing it down, I mean, Devon Conway didn't look like he was going to put a foot wrong that whole innings, didn't he? Really?
No, I think Dhoni has some he's a great captain. He's a great leader of that team in that he gives everyone a defined role and he backs them. And Devon Conway, there are lots of players who we were saying early on in the season could potentially come in for Devon Conway, or maybe he's the player to miss out. But Dhoni's backed him at the top of the order, and his talent is shining through. He's always done really well at the top of the order, and he's probably been the best opener along with Faf du Plessis this entire tournament. He's been awesome. And also, just to go back to the bowlers, the way he's backed his seamers as well in Deshpande, Akash Singh, Patharana, 3 young seamers who are bowling incredibly well and are helping Chennai be in that top of the table position. And I think part of that is just his backing of them. He did it a few seasons ago with Deepak Chahar and Shardul Thakur. So he's doing a really good job there. A thing on Sunrisers, I think Sunrisers don't have that. They're the opposite to Chennai in terms of they're not being backed as much, and we've seen their order change a few times. So it's just a case of backing players in their position. But their only bowler who's doing well for them at the moment is Mayank Markande. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is economical, but he's not really taking many wickets in the power play. And we said from the start their bowling lineup was the thing that was going to take them all the way pretty much. So I don't know if you know of anything they can do, James, to help them in that department.
Role definition is probably a major thing for them. They need to figure out who's going to be in charge of which phase of the game in the bowling, and similar with the batting. You know, they need to define the roles. Chennai are very clear on what the roles are. It's, Gaikwad and Conway get you off to a good start. Ajinkya Rahane comes in and he just swings the bat at everything, tries to smash it out the park. If you're doing well, then you send in Shivam Dubey. If you're not, then you send in like a Moeen Ali. And then you've got finishers in Jadeja and Dhoni. And everything is just so defined. Pandey, he will bowl in the power play. You know that for certain. Sunrisers, they need to figure it out. They need to decide, who's doing what. What are the functions? I know Klaasen is a brilliant finisher, so give him that role. Mike Goal at 6, like I said earlier, it baffles me. It's not a defined role, and you need to just let him know, like, look, what we want from you is 20 runs in the power play. If you go out early, so be it. But we want 20 runs from you in the power play. Get us off to a good start. That's a defined role, and I feel like that'll lend itself to them doing better.
Yeah, I'd like to see Klaasen in at 4, because that's the batting position that sees the most spin, and he's a very good player of spin through the middle overs and keeps that impetus going. And I'd drop Harry Brook down to 5, in my opinion, because he's more of that finishing role, good against pace. Let's move on to Gujarat Lucknow Supergiants. Gujarat Titans didn't put up a very big score that I thought, given the batting power of Lucknow Supergiants, they would definitely chase down. But Hardik Pandya obviously read the conditions very well and played a very good captain's knock.
I thought it was an absolutely fascinating game, to be honest. I was very, very interested by it, because obviously it was a pretty difficult pitch. There was some brilliant bowling, particularly by Naveen Ul-Haq.
Oh, he's awesome.
Krunal Pandya was also brilliant. We've noticed this when they're playing at Lucknow, that Lucknow is a very, very slow place to play. But yeah, from what was a brilliant bowling performance from the Lucknow bowlers. And I do want to get a little bit more onto sort of Hardik Pandya's knock, and I hope Benj can kind of talk a bit more about the Gujarat batting. But when we went into Lucknow's chase, it was absolutely bizarre to see KL Rahul face over half the deliveries and only get 68. And he completely, like, he just broke it. Like, he lasted the entire innings and couldn't finish it off for his team. And it was the most KL Rahul typical innings. It turned out to be a match-losing innings. And I just worry that because Punjab was so brilliant in the match after, and it was such an exciting match, high scoring, all that good stuff, that this KL Rahul knock will get swept under the carpet, because it needs to be highlighted how overwhelmingly shocking it was. So, Benj, first of all, what do you think of Hardik Pandya? Because then we can contrast it a little bit.
This is the thing, though, because I think you can sum up this Gujarat Lucknow game with, like, it's the tale of two 50s, not the tale of two cities, the tale of two 50s. Both captains' knocks, both, I would say, very conservative. I think Hardik Pandya also batted very conservatively, but he had that ability to accelerate later on, and he hit those 4 6s, which led him to have that strike rate of 132 in the end. And I think if you look at the two innings, like Hardik Pandya got 66 off 50, KL Rahul got 68 off 61. There isn't that much between them, but those 11 balls have been crucial, realistically, in the difference. I mean, I think Titans won by only 7 runs. So even if Rahul went at a run a ball extra for those 11 balls, then it would have just swung that game. I think, as you say, it was that match-losing innings, but the thing was, you couldn't play any other way. Like, if you look at the rest of the order, David Miller played a very smelly 6 off 12, where he was just trying to smash it around all over the place. And again, you just couldn't do it on that pitch. Vijay Shankar 10 off 12. So I think actually having a strike rate, having a strike rate exactly of over a strike rate of over 100 was a big thing in that game. And I think for me, it was the Gujarat bowlers were the difference, I think.
I think
especially
also,
Noor Ahmed, in my opinion. I think he bowled amazingly.
he did bowl very well, but I think also it's making the most of the power play. And that's something that KL Rahul isn't great at. And it's something that Kyle Mayers did a little bit at the start of the season. But for me, Kyle Mayers, although he's a good player, they've got Quinton de Kock not getting a game. Kyle Mayers isn't bowling. So why not bring Quinton de Kock in, who for me is one of the best destructive openers in world or in 2020 cricket.
Agree.
And for me, he should be in that team as that perfect four for KL Rahul. He's that he plays that extra way to kind of help KL Rahul not have as much pressure. And for me, Quinton de Kock is great in the power play because he knows where the fielders are and he's got the talent to hit all around the wicket, so he can hit over the infield and hit those 4s and 6s early doors.
Yeah,
I agree.
It takes the pressure off then. Like KL Rahul won't then feel like he needs to. I don't know what it is in his psyche that he feels like he needs to bat the whole innings and, but you know, be the like. I mean, it's almost an anchor, but it's being weighed even when the ship's trying to sail. Like he's actually holding the team back at this point in his anchoring. Like it's that there's a difference between the role that he plays and the role that somebody like Kohli or who else is an anchor?
Devon Conway.
Devon Conway, yeah, Joss Butler. They all try to play the long innings, but they will shift through the gears, thereby taking the pressure off. But I think Lucknow knew that if they rotate the strike to KL Rahul, they're still going to go at the same rate.
The thing with KL is that he has been in the past very good at that. Like he's been orange cap winner over and over and over again, and he's got countless hundreds in the IPL, which has been fantastic. I agree with you both completely. I think it's time, for the Quinton de Kock come in. And as we've talked about, it's good that people have their defined roles. Mm-hmm. I think when it's obvious that it's not working, that's when you need to make a change. Yeah. Speaking of changes, I want to speak about Punjab Kings with a change at the top of the order. And I imagine, again, is Shikhar Dhawan injured? Is that why we're not seeing him?
Yeah, he is. He's hopefully going to be back next game, but not 100% sure on it. Fingers crossed he is, because as we saw and as we've seen in the past few games, having a good top order player in Shikhar Dhawan is almost like vital for batting. Fortunately, not in this game. Fortunately, we got away with it. But Matthew Shaw has been providing us a lot of little cameos, but he's no Johnny Bairstow, first of all. He cannot play spin to save his life. And he also, every now and then you're going to have a pretty rough innings like he had at the top of the order.
Yeah.
But Punjab Kings, everybody chipped in once again. It's a classic Punjab Kings scorecard. Zach, what is your opinion on Sam Curran's innings? I know that I'm a bit biased. I'm just gonna gush about all Punjab players, so I want to know what you think.
Oh, it was destructive is the word I would use. I think we know Sam Curran for playing the 20 off 10 balls, 15 off 6 balls. I can't remember what I called them in the other podcast, or something flop.
A successful flop or
yeah, something like that. That's what we used to say with
aggressive flop. I can't remember.
Aggressive flop. Yeah, that's what we used to say with Sam Curran. But I think today he kind of played that innings that we haven't seen since that India-England Test series in 2018, where he just announced himself in Test cricket, and he played that innings today. And it was a bit weird, his dismissal. He was like almost looking to defend Archer. Which caused the caught and ball.
It was a nasty bounce.
Oh, it was a very good ball from
Archer. He backed away. He wanted to play it over the offside. Archer followed him, and he put some venom in it.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. But yeah, the whole innings, I think he paced it really well. He picked his bowlers well, and he got his team to a very good score. So yeah, I was very happy with how Curran did. I think that the reason that Punjab need Dhawan at the top of the order is because although Prab Simran Singh and Tider are playing very well, they're not quite the sort of players who you're going to see get those 50s, 60s, 70s that Dhawan provides at the top of the order, those big runs. So it was great that Sam Curran provided his 50, but if he plays another one of those 10 ball 20s, which is effective, they still need the big runs at the top of the order from someone like Darwin. So maybe he can do it Faf du Plessis. He can bat, but as the impact substitute thing.
Yeah.
I have a question for both of you. Did Cameron Green justify his price tag today?
Yeah, I think he actually has. Over the last couple of games, I think he has batted well, like really aggressively. I was terrified watching Mumbai bat, trying to chase down the big total that we put on. And he is also bowling to make a difference. Like in a game where there were two dangerous players, especially Matt Shaw is a very good hitter of pace, and Harpreet Bhatia Singh, he chooses his names as he pleases. He was also playing really well, and he is a man that usually does not strike very fast.
No,
but he was really hitting his strides. So Cameron Green, he's making that all-round difference. Years to come, he could do very well. I'd say of the kind of big purchases that we saw at the IPL, so it was what, Curran, Green,
and
Brook,
Stokes.
and
Stokes, but we don't talk about Ben
Pooran,
Stokes.
and then Stokes. Yeah,
we don't talk about Stokes.
No,
but we do, because Stokes is the only one that is an absolute hemorrhage of money.
Yeah,
Like he really isn't worth it. Whereas the others, I think there has been a bit of a return on investment. Other Mumbai Indian players were also hitting their stride, which is really, it's good to see. Now that like Punjab have won, it was horrible to see at the time.
I was
like,
scared for you because
Rohit Sharma,
yeah.
Cameron Green, Sky, and Tim David all smacking it far. Tim David 114m6.
Yeah.
Oh, it was horrible.
I'm really pleased to see Sky back in a bit of form, because it's been just so awful watching him getting ducks and low scores for so long, when we've seen how much of a destructive player that he is. Again, I think we've seen again in the last few games that we've been talking about the importance of the captain's knock. We saw it in the Gujarat and Lucknow game. We saw it in the Mumbai game because Rohit got them off to a good start. And I think Sam Curran played a match-winning knock in there as well. Zach, are you enjoying seeing Virat Kohli back as standing captain for RCB, who didn't have such a good captain's knock today after getting a first baller?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how Virat Kohli's been as captain so far. Although he's not the captain of RCB, it is Faf du Plessis, but obviously the fans love seeing Kohli. We love seeing him back in action. And if it means that he captains the last game of the season where we're in the final to win the game, then there's a bit of a fairy tale ending in that, which will make me think the IPL is rigged. But anyway, I thought that the RCB are very strong at the top of the order. We've got a few issues in the middle to lower order, where some people are kind of lacking their defined role. We've had a bit of a mix around of who comes in where, but the players who are doing well, I know Virat Kohli got a first baller, which was a lovely delivery by Trent Boult, but players like Faf du Plessis and Glenn Maxwell, they've got that defined role, and they're actually scoring the most of our runs and batting it a very scary strike rate for other teams. I think it was probably a 190 pitch, which RCB ended up getting. But the way they were batting, we could have easily got 210, 220 today. And we're taking apart some very good Rajasthan bowlers in the process. James, I'm not sure what your opinions are.
Yeah, I mean, I chatted to you earlier when the game was happening, and I was saying that Royal Challengers top order is absolutely brilliant, but they are lacking that finisher role. I think Shahbaz Ahmed would be better suited down the order, and I think Lomraw or maybe Pravid Desai would be better off up the order. But the fact that Dinesh Karthik isn't in that absolute purple patch of form is costing Royal Challengers that final few runs. And
yeah,
I honestly think that if RCB weren't so brilliant in the field, and I think that was the difference, then RCB were, a good like 10 runs short of where they should have been to get like a genuine winning total. They put up a fighting total, probably par, but they should have put up a winning total without a doubt. But I think absolutely RCB's fielding is the best in the league at the moment. They are so good. They're getting run outs like direct hits. They are just lightning everywhere. They're stopping boundaries. They're taking all the catches.
Catching's on point.
I know. That's where they won it. Genuinely.
I mean,
that's where they won it.
Today, right? There were two. No, there was two. There were 2 wickets which were not either catches or runouts in this game. So there was Virat Kohli's wicket from Bolt, and there was Josh Butler's bolt from Siraj. Everything else was a catch that was taken or a run out. I think as well, Rajasthan have being awesome in the field as well. I think Rajasthan and RCB are definitely the top 2 fielding teams in the league at the minute. I mean, there were 3 run outs in the RCB innings. And then there was almost a run out in almost 2 in the Rajasthan. I think Ashwin was lucky that Siraj kicked the stumps and then missed the ball and broke it with his arm. But yeah, it was a really good chase from Rajasthan, and it was a really tense finish as well. I think had Josh Butler not been got out that early by Siraj, and I think Siraj has been player of the tournament for me so far for RCB. It could have been a very different game. Devdutt Padikkal finally back in a bit of form. I think giving him that number 3 slot has been really good for him. And then he can get impact subbed out for Abdul Basit, as we saw today, who unfortunately wasn't able to get them over the line. But I think for me, the real, as you've mentioned, the real turning point in the game was the run out of Shimron Hetmeyer by Prabhadesai. And there were some run outs that really are a match pivoting time. And I think that was one of them, because Hetmeyer is that player who can win the game. Yeah, he's the one that if he'd have been there at the end, Rajasthan would have won.
I want to ask a question, and Zach, I want you to pick it up if you can.
Mm-hmm.
So when Hetmeyer went out, obviously big hitting West Indian, they send in Ravi Ashwin over Jason Holder. Now, I was thinking Holder must be injured here, but then even when Ashwin went out and they needed 10 off 2, they send in Abdul Basit instead of Jason Holder. Now, Jason Holder, I get that he's not the most accomplished batter in the world, but he's a hitter.
Yeah.
He swings a long-handled bat. If there's somebody that's going to hit 10 off 2 or just swing it and, get 20 off the last over, whatever they needed, it's Jason Holder. I thought that was the most bizarre decision, but I want to get what your opinion was. When you were watching it, were you relieved when they sent Ashwin out?
There was a little bit of a relief there that Jason Holder didn't come out. Obviously, when Ravi Ashwin came out, it was kind of well, Ashwin can pretty much do anything he sets his mind to in cricket. He'll win the game somehow. So there was a bit of nervousness there. But yeah, Jason Holder, we've seen him finish games before with the bat. I don't know if he hurt himself in the field or if he was on the toilet and couldn't make it out in time. I don't really know.
I hope that's the reason.
Yeah, imagine. But yeah, it seemed a bit weird, and I hope he's okay, because he's a very valuable player to that Rajasthan team. But I think RCB, the way they bowled and the way they've bowled in the last few games at the death has actually been better than they've bowled all season at the death, and it's been really good to watch. And also, we're starting to see the key players in Mumbai's batting come into form, like Cameron Green, Sky, Rohit Sharma. But we're starting to see some key bowlers in RCB come into form, like Harshal Patel. He bowled particularly well today. It was our pick of our bowlers, which is awesome. And Hasaranga de Silva is starting to get into his groove. And with those two being that middle overs and then Harshal Patel bowling at the death, it's going to change RCB. Well, it's going to give RCB a lot of confidence going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's move on to
confidence going forward.
Yeah, to confidence. Confident Super Kings, who absolutely smashed 234 runs. I think it's the highest total at the Eden Gardens. Absolutely unbelievable display of batting prowess from Chennai. And I mean, we're just going to skim over this because honestly, there's not too much to talk about apart from Ajinkya Rahane. And then we'll talk about some CNQs. But Benj,
it was just I
Where
don't
did
know
Ajinkya
what.
Rahane come from? This is the same Ajinkya Rahane that I believe averaged like 17 at striker at about 100 last season for KKR.
The
And
same
he's gone
Ajinkya
against his
Rahane.
old team.
The same. I think there was probably a bit of venom in his batting because it was against his old team. He was one of the all-time 4 hitters in the IPL. I think he'd hit nearly the most 4s. And now he's just smoking 6s left, right, and centre. He's got the highest boundary percentage per balls faced in the IPL this year, with a minimum of 100 balls faced. And it's just this player who's been the most classic, like out of the middle of Mumbai, like the most classic, almost fed on the cricket textbook as they have been brought up, with the textbook in their veins. And now he's coming out and just being a T20 masterclass, smashing it all over the place, ably supported by Devon Conway and Shivam Dubey. The thing that was mental in this game today is that I was still worried that KKR would have chased it down. And had it not been for the awful decision to send Sunrisershyderabad to open the innings, who just danced down the wicket to Akash Singh, if they'd have opened with Jason Roy, I feel like this would have been a very different game, because I think that Roy could have played that long innings, scored that big 100 and won the game. And when Roy and Rinku Singh were in, I was quaking. With Andre Russell and David Visa to come as well, I was like, we can so easily lose this now. But yeah, what did you think about the KKR innings, Zach?
I was just flabbergasted, lost for words. I couldn't believe it, because they sent in Jagadish and Nareen to open, and then they sent in Ira at 3, and then they sent in Rana at 4. When what they need, when you're chasing a score of 235, it's obviously a very good batting track at the Eden Gardens. When you're chasing a score like that, the key is runs in the power play. We saw it when England chased down 230 odd against South Africa in a World Cup, and they sent in their big hitters early doors to give England that advantage. And England scored about 80 runs in the power play, or 80 runs in like 5 overs, and it helped them win the game. And today they sent in Nitish Rana. He's the sort of player who's going to play the whole innings, so he needs to open the batting. Jason Roy on that sort of a pitch can be destructive and score you a match-winning century. Open with him. And they didn't. They thought, let's send in Sunrisershyderabad as like a left field out there decision, when they could have done something a bit more sensible and maybe given them a chance. So I was just a bit like, what are they doing here?
The reason they did that, though, was Jason Roy pulled a muscle when he was fielding in the first innings. And I saw him, like, he was running along, and I think he went off straight after. He'd pulled either a calf or a hamstring or something. And he looked like he was in quite big pain. So I think that's why they opened with Narayan, which, again, horrible decision. I think the man's got more ducks than anybody else in the IPL now. I think Golden Ducks wise, Kohli's the leader, but Narayan is a close second or something. But yeah, like Jason Roy, the fact that he could barely run, like he was in pain, but I think it just gave him the clarity, just awesome. To smack it. And he was brilliant. I think he should do it more often. Just decide,
get injured.
I'm not going to run. I'm just going to smack it. And he was amazing.
What he played the innings of? He played the innings of that annoying person at number 6 who comes out in a village cricket match that we face, who, is bigger than everyone else that's playing, and just swings over leg side and somehow scores 70 off 30 and eventually gets caught. But that's the innings that he played today, I think.
You know what it is? It's players need to look at Shivam Dubey and say, I've got a better technique than Shivam Dubey. Why don't I bat like Shivam Dubey and see what happens? That's what Jason Roy did today.
Stand still with the feet planted and swing.
Yeah.
Pretty
why
much.
Not? So what Gale did.
You know what? On that, we've got a couple of CNQs from NSN 5564 who said, what have been the best / worst surprises of the IPL so far? And I want to say Ajinkya Rahane for me is the best surprise. I'm not going to say worst. I don't want to be negative, but best surprise for me, Ajinkya Rahane. What about you two lads?
Rinku Singh. You stole Ajinkya Rahane, so I'll take Rinku Singh.
Nice. Go on, Benj.
Well, you stole both of the good ones that I wanted to say. For me, actually, I'm going to stick with Chennai. Akash Singh. He was a little bit expensive at the start, but he's been really good now, I think.
Nice. The other CNQ is, why does your background look more like a golf course than a cricket field? Am I missing something in the intention of design? Right. Shut up, first of all. But second of all, a rebrand.
Don't tell our viewer to shut up.
I know.
It's just him. He knows we're joking. But no, in all seriousness, we are having a rebrand soon. So stay tuned. We thought it would happen at 1,000, but we decided to keep you waiting, keep the anticipation growing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Don't
coming
rush
soon.
art. Don't rush art.
Yeah, you can't rush perfection. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you want us to answer your Cricket Nerds question, leave it in the comments with the hashtag CNQ. You can like and subscribe. That'd be brilliant. Follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and the Cricket Nerds on TikTok and some other things. It's all in the link tree in the description. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.